Hello, everyone. My name is Archie, and because a lot of my friends ask me about the strategies, how can our IMG get matched to the US residency program? So here I just created my first video to explain it. So based on the requirements published in the on the program different program website, I just classify our IMG as three groups. First one is for the young IMGs who graduated within just 5 years. Second group who are in the middle level who graduated within 5 to 10 years, and the third group is for the older IMG who graduated over 10 years. So, so for the young, so for the young IMGs, congratulations, you have a lot of advantages. So definitely connection is the first most important factor to for us to get matched, but it's not that important for the young graduates. So I would say that the USME scores and the USCE are more important. And also some program directors would pay attention to the performance during the clinical rotation when you are in the medical school. But based on different grading and scoring system in the medical school outside the US, so they sometimes they don't think they don't know how can the med school grade us. So they would pay more attention to the USME scores and USCE. So that's why I would put this the performance during the clinical rotation when you are in med school behind the USME scores and the USCE. The research is definitely can help you for the application, but it still is it's optional for the young graduates. So so here's my suggestion. So try to complete your USME step one, step two before graduation and acquire at least 3 months of USCE from in the United States. So for the USCE, here's the preference based on the program director's description. Actually, I can contact some program directors. They told me that they prefer the hands-on first. Some program directors think the observation is can be used for the USCE, but some programs directors don't think observation as a USCE. So definitely hands-on would be the first one. Every program director will treat the hands-on as optimal. So observations is the second one, and the telerotation for telerotation, most of program directors don't think it's a USCE. So and also try to mix the rotation with the inpatient and outpatient, and the longer the better, and get the so for as because you are because of the you are young, so actually just sometimes so you just need 3 months is enough, but still the longer the better actually. And also during the USC, try to get a strong US letter for recommendation and know get some connection if it's possible, but it's not that important as I mentioned. And research can help you get matched to some top programs and the university program. And if you just want to get matched to the community program, research won't help you too much. And for the people who is in the middle level, graduate within 5 to 10 years, and still is sometimes difficult to get some connections. And actually, the connection, uh, so connection has different. There are different connections. A strong connection, a weak connection. Weak connection cannot help you. While strong connections can help you, but it's very difficult to get a strong connection at sea. So therefore, USME scores and the USC is still very important for people who are in the middle level. So if you are in the US, and you try your best to get connection with some, try your best to get some connection with some US doctors if you can. That the program director chair attending are definitely optimal, but as I mentioned, it's very difficult to know those people for some of us. Well, some at least, but at least you can know some people who can write you a good U.S. letter of recommendation. That would be very helpful. If you are not in the U.S. and I would suggest you come to the U.S. as soon as possible to get some USCE, and still the longer the better, and try to get some connection during the rotation. And also, if you have already completed the residency training outside of US, and actually you are able to apply for the fellowship first, like nephrology or ophthalmology, they all offer the opportunities for the fellowship training. So you can without the residency training in the US, so you can definitely try those programs first. They sometimes they offer the 1 to 2 years fellowship training, and then and after that, actually, you have enough USCE, United States clinical experience, so you will be a strong candidate to apply for the next year as a resident candidate. And if you cannot get the fellowship, the USCE is still necessary for your residency application. So try your best to get those USCE. And for the research, it's definitely can helpful. It's definitely helpful, but it depends. If you are young candidates, like just graduated within 5 years, 1 to 2 papers with published in a low impact journal is helpful for your application. But if you graduate within 5 to 10 years, try your best to get more publication and publish in a high impact journal. That will be helpful. If you just publish some paper in a low impact journal and with a couple of publications, that won't help you. And during doing the research, try to get some connections as well. So yeah, so for the people who are doing other business non-related to the clinic or research, you must have a good reason to explain your gap. And so my suggestion is try everything related to the medicine or research. Yeah, try to convince the interviewer that you prepared what you have done during the gap is doing some thing that related to the clinical or research that can help you to get matched. So for the old IMGs who are graduates over 10 years, actually it's very difficult for us. It's very demanding. And I would say that currently the residency program is not friendly to us, especially for the people who graduate over 10 years outside the US. So we need to try our best to get connections, and those connections must be very strong connections. As I mentioned, like the program directors, chairs, attendings, and also we also definitely need the USCE, and the longer the better. And try to schedule with some people, some attendings or chair or to follow them during the clinic, and let them to draft you a very strong recommendation letter. And also, but I would say that the USME scores is not that very important compared to the previous two groups, because we have a long gap. They would so actually they know that we don't have enough time to study. So we need to let them know what we have done during this gap. So I would say that if you have a strong clinical experience during this gap, like you have already completed residency training or fellowship training or home country, that would be very helpful. And also, if you have done lot of research during these 10 years, and you know a lot of people who can help you draft a strong recommendation letter, that will be very also helpful. So the key point is the try to get some connection. Connection is very, very important for us to get the interview invitation. And also, if you have green card, you can definitely apply for some job like clinical related jobs like medical scribe, medical assistant, volunteer, clinical research coordinator for clinical trial study. Those works are treated as a clinical experience based on the conversation I talked with several program directors. So so yeah, so I so that's the first suggestion I give to the old IMGs. And if you who are in the US, if you are not in the US, still I would suggest you to come to the US as soon as possible to acquire more USCE. And also the longer the better. Try to, and the reason because you definitely need some time to know some people to get some connection. And also for the people who have already completed the residency training or the fellowship training, and it's a, it's very helpful for you to get matched, and and uh, also it's, you are able to apply for the fellowship as mentioned, in order to get some USCE and also to get some connection with the people who can help you. Mm, and for the people who are doing the research, um, yeah, so definitely more publication and publishing high impact journal will be helpful. And still the key point is to get some connection during the research. And for people who are doing other things, and as I mentioned, you must have a good reason to explain it, and try your best to say that you have already done something that relates to the clinic and research, and find a good reason to convince the interviewer that you have ability to come back to the clinic to complete the residence training, to get along with the younger colleagues in the future. So that's my point. So I hope you guys can all get matched in the following in the next year. So good luck.